Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday afternoon. Appreciate you giving us some of your time. So today we're going to talk about the 2024 Kansas KidWind Challenge. My name is David Carter. I'm with the Kansas Energy Program, have been with the Kansas Energy Program since 2016. I'm joined by my co-workers, Ryan Hamill and Kurt Foley, both been with the Kansas Energy Program for a while and are veterans of the Kansas KidWind Challenge. So you're on with some expertise here. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So I don't know, some of you have your videos off, but maybe you can chime in saying whether this is whether you've participated in a KidWind Challenge before, or if this is your first, or you're just gathering information for your first attempt at some point.
This is Abe Brinsing. I'm from Inman, and this would be my first time
Excellent.
looking into this. Yeah.
Excellent.
And I'm Emily Buller, and this would also be my first KidWind Challenge. We went to a workshop last January and thought it sounded like a neat opportunity.
And Emily, where are you located?
Oh, I'm in Hayes.
Hayes, okay. And Sharon? Okay. Sharon is either extremely shy or couldn't connect to audio. So we'll just go ahead. And so feel free to jump in anytime if you have questions. You can either just raise your hand and Kurt and Ryan will be looking at that, or put the question in chat, whatever you want to do. Okay, so first I will tell you that the KidWind Challenge absolutely could not be done without the sponsors that we have. The major sponsor we have is the Kansas Corporation Commission Energy Office. They provide the funding for us to coordinate these and set them up and travel out there, and they've purchased a lot of the wind turbine kits that we send out to schools. They've purchased the wind tunnels that we loan out to schools. So I mean, it's just huge. We couldn't do it without them. But we also have a number of corporate investors: Enel, Invenergy, ITC, Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, Orsted, Olson. So those are the ones that provide us some financial assistance, and it's through the financial assistance that we get from the corporate sponsors that we're able to reimburse teachers for their mileage to and from the regional challenges and the state challenge. And if you have to hire a substitute teacher when you come over to the regional challenge, we'll reimburse that as well. So we do that through the corporate sponsors. And then, of course, we also provide lunch during each of the regional challenges and the statewide challenge, and that's reimbursed through the corporate dollars as well. The other sponsors that we have up here: Wolf Creek Young Generation and Nuclear, the Dodge City Public Schools, Hutchinson Community College, Johnson Community College, NKESC, Wolf Creek. We also have this year, we don't have them up here, but Colby Community College is providing us a space. And so they either provide space or provide some food for us as well without charging us. So that helps us extend our dollars so that we can provide additional supplies or other things through the more traditional financial assistance. But can't do it without all of these groups here that are on the page. So a little bit about the Kansas KidWind Challenge. We did not start this. The Kansas Energy Program, we cannot claim creative rights over this. It was actually being conducted in Manhattan by Dr. Ruth Douglas Miller. She's an electrical engineer with the Kansas State University College of Engineering. So she was a member of the what we call this wind consortium, which was sponsored by DOE, National Renewable Energy Laboratory. And so she held KidWind challenges in 2016 and 2017, and then she retired, and she asked us if we would take it over. So we did in 2018, and even before we started that one, just during the registrations, we noticed that we weren't getting any schools outside of a 2-hour radius of Manhattan. And that wasn't good for us. We didn't want to just do Manhattan. So we said, well, okay, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take it to you. We're going to have to come out to where you are located. So in 2019, we did 4 regional challenges. Basically, we you know, Kansas is kind of rectangular, so we just did 4 corners. And you can see we increased our numbers from 8 schools to 22 and from 17 teams to 44. And we reached about 3 times the amount of students, from 50 to 150. And that's where we want to be. We want to reach the students, right? We want to get them more involved in STEM, more involved and aware of energy and wind energy, renewable energy. So that was a success for us. And then in 2020, we actually went to 5 regional challenges, and we were the only state that made it through all of our regional challenges before COVID hit. So we had really good numbers, but unfortunately we couldn't send any of the teams to nationals because there was no nationals that year. But we did increase the number of schools, the number of teams, and again the number of students. So we considered that successful. In 2021, they had a virtual challenge, and if you've ever done anything virtually, you know that it's just not as good as being in person. So we still had some participation, but clearly not much. In 2022, everything opened up again. We actually increased the regional challenges to 6. So we had 27 schools, 56 teams, and 196 students. And then 2023, we kept with 6 regional challenges as we're doing for 2024. And you can see we had a record number of schools, we had a record number of teams, and we had a record number of students at 341. So we're looking to repeat that again this year. And as you'll see in later slides, we're expecting to do so. So there are some wind energy teacher workshops. Abe, you and Emily mentioned that this is new to you, so there are some resources that you can do. So you can go to the National KidWind, kidwind.org. Look at their training workshops. They do offer some remote and Zoom, and we can help you out with those if you wish. Just to show you what it looks like for nationals versus the state of Kansas. This is nationals, and we have no control over whether the other states are updating this or not. So we assume this is correct, but you can see that Kansas is one of the most active states for the KidWind Challenge. We are well known on the national stage, so once you join the competition, if you make it up to nationals, you will be very well received because they like having Kansas teams. And then this is the Kansas specific. Oh, it looks like an older one. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, 6. Okay, never mind. So we're doing Colby, Dodge City, Hutchinson, Manhattan, Burlington, and Overland Park is where ours. And then the state KidWind Challenge is going to be in Salina this year. We do have some new things going on, and I will tell you that this is changes that we make to the program are made for only a couple of reasons. One is that after every KidWind Challenge season, we send out a survey to all the coaches and teachers that have participated. We ask them to get input from the students as well. But we'll ask them, hey, what did you like about the event? What did you not like about the event? If you could change something, what would you change? And we read all of those and we take those to heart. And so we try and incorporate some of the input that we received from the survey. One of the consistent feedbacks that we have is with the judges panel. So normally what we had was a judges panel that was 15 minutes. The judges had about 10 minutes with the students and then 5 minutes to switch, to write down their notes and their scores before the next group came in. Now we're going to limit it to 10 minutes. The presentation will take 3 to 4, and then the judges will have 4 to 5 minutes to ask some questions, quiz the kids a little bit, and then do their scores. So what we hope is that all the students will have scores from the same judges. So this is difficult for us. It's difficult for us to get an industry professional to give up a full day and come out to one of our challenges and to be able to stay in a room without windows and just judge one student group after another. So sometimes we rotated judges in and out to give some of the judges a break. And of course, once you do that, you introduce variability, right? So you have a new judge and they might judge easier or harder than the previous judge. So we did have some issues with that, and that's our way of we're hopeful that the shorter time will reduce the variabilities because all the judges will stay in there. The other thing that we're going to do is wind tunnel performance testing, and this is a kind of a combination of changes. One is based on the surveys, but the other is based on what they do at nationals. So nationals runs a very different KidWind challenge than we do. And the reason for that is logistics. National KidWind has many more volunteers at their events than we are able to obtain at our events, so we can't run them the same way. But at National KidWind, they do not have a rigid schedule for when the teams come to the tunnels. We do. And in the past, we only had one opportunity for them to do so, and then we had a catastrophic failure at the end. Now what we're having them do is all the teams will have 2 chances to test their wind tunnels. So they'll test in the morning, and that gives them the opportunity to make some tweaks and come back in the afternoon to see if they can, eke out a better performance, or whether, how their morning performance might have been better. But now we're going to eliminate the catastrophic failure because they're going to have 2 times during the day to come out to the tunnel. We've also reduced the performance testing runs from 60 seconds to 30 seconds. This was not a survey issue. National KidWind only does 30 seconds. So we were having to kind of convert the performance from how they did at our KidWind challenges to the National KidWind Challenge, and so now we're just keeping them together. In previous challenges, we did allow shrouds, and now they are no longer allowed. This is a National KidWind Challenge change. It was their decision to eliminate the shrouds, so we are going to follow their rules and not allow shrouds at our competitions either. So you saw this in the earlier slide, but here's where the regional challenges are. And then we did move the state challenge to Salina, and that was based on surveys where some of the Western teams said, hey, we love this, but we really would like to have a more central event. And I know Salina is not central Kansas, but it's more central than Topeka was. So we have a great venue there, and we're looking forward to hosting the state challenge there. So these are some of the benefits of the KidWind. It is not just about wind energy. This is a primarily a STEM related competition, and that's what we want. We want to introduce the students to STEM. We want to introduce them to critical thinking. We want to introduce them to the scientific process and engineering principles, and try, fail, repeat, fail better, right? So we just want them to do an iterative process of improvement. It does meet multiple next generation science standards criteria, so we've listed a few of those. We do have a link on our website which shows which has the full complement of which next generation science standards all of the activities that the Kansas Energy Program will meet. So you can take a look at those on our website. The benefit of one of the benefits, of course, is that they get to design, build, present, and test a functional wind turbine. In today's society, a lot of people think that's pretty cool, and they get to do it in a real, in a wind tunnel. I don't know what constitutes a real wind tunnel, but it's functional, and it's more than anything that most of the schools have on their own. So it lends a pretty competitive process, but it's also a supportive environment. So many of the teams, they help each other during this. I mean, even though they're in competition with each other, they'll see that one team is in kind of stress because something's not going right, and so another team will come up and help them out. So it's really neat when they do that, and it's good to see. So this is a performance competition. So the teams do have to have their turbines built before they come to the regional KidWind challenge. And then at each challenge, they're going to compete in 4 areas. They have the performance testing in the wind tunnel, and that's where we measure the energy output and we'll calculate the efficiency. And they get points for both of those. And then they have the presentation and the judging. So that's what we call the judges panel. They'll have a knowledge quiz and an instant challenge. You will not get any notification of what the instant challenge is before you get to either the regional or the state challenge. It is a totally unknown. And the students, not the students and coaches, the students will have to complete that on their own within a given amount of time. And then each team will receive a combined score based on their performance in all 4 areas. So this is very important. You can have the best performance at the wind tunnel, and if you bomb the other 3, you may not make it to the next level. So it is a combined score, and we're looking at a well-rounded performance. We'll get into the points later, but is the performance testing scored higher? Sure, but if you get all the points in the performance and 0 in 2 of the others, there's a chance that overall you're not going to do as well. This is one question that we've been asked: how do we incorporate this into our curriculum? And we're not teachers, so we really don't know the answer to that question. But we'll just say, make it fit the way that works best for you. Some use just an after-school club process. Some are homeschool groups. So it really doesn't matter to us. Some of you will kick the lessons off after the winter break and spend a couple of weeks on the project. Others will start early in the fall and then come back to it. Some teachers use it as a capstone project. We really don't care as long as it works well for what you're expecting to do with your students and how it works for them. This is open to any school group. It's not just a government organized school. It can be an after-school club, homeschool group, 4-H, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, home and boy. What's the I don't know. There's another
Boys
big...
and Girls Club.
Thank you, Boys and Girls Club. So just any group of students, and it could be, you know, just a group of students that decide to get together to work on a wind turbine. We do typically only allow 2 to 3 teams per school. So what some teachers do is host an internal competition to decide who will attend the regional challenge. We're going to be involved in one of these internal competitions in December. And so they'll have, 16, 17 teams compete at the school. And then the teachers will select the top 2 or 3 teams that then will get into the regional challenge for the Kansas KidWind. And then there are resources, WindWise curriculum and recharge labs located on the Nationals website. So feel free to check those out. We are limited. There are 4 of us with the Kansas Energy Program. In each one of those areas has to have somebody monitoring them. So there's a limit to how many teams that we can get through. And then there's also a time limitation on there. We don't want to keep you, for a 12-hour day at the KidWind Challenge. So if we had more teams, obviously the time would increase for the entire day. So we try and limit it to around 16. If a school registers more than 2, then those additional in an age division, then the additional teams will be placed on a waiting list. Then if there are less than 16 teams registered for the event, we'll maybe include some of those, what we call waitlisted teams. But if it's full, you can select a different regional challenge, or we'll just drop the extra teams from the list. We do encourage you, like I said, if you have multiple teams, more than the 2 or 3, host an internal competition and only bring the top 2. If we can, we will assist with those. But if we can't be there in person to assist, we can certainly provide advice on how to run an internal challenge, and we can loan you some equipment to help you to do so. We do invite the top 2 teams in age division, 4th through 8th and 9th through 12th, to the statewide KidWind Challenge. And then the top 2 teams in each division at the statewide challenge will be invited to attend the national event. Now, there's a caveat to this. Sometimes the national event allows us to bring in the top 3 teams from each age division. So I think we did that last year. And then sometimes the nationals will say, well, okay, you had a judge's choice or a judge's favorite, you can invite them also. So the previous year in 2022, I think we invited 8 teams to attend nationals. 7 of them were able to attend in person and 1 attended remotely. So who can participate? Any student in the 4th through 8th or 9th through 12th grade. We do not place a restriction on the team size, but we recommend no more than 3 to 5 students per team. And you're teachers, so if you get a group larger than that, you're going to get 3 people that are really active on the project, and the other ones are just hanging around, not doing much of anything. And as I said, the teams can come from any school group. We do need to have 1 adult with them at the event, and we require 1 adult per 10 students. So yes, if you're a coach, you can have the same coach for 2 teams that are up to 5 students apiece. So you can do it that way. There is no cost to register for any of our events. In fact, we work very hard to try and reduce any financial obstacles that the schools will have. So the only cost you'll have is the cost for supplies to build the turbine. Many of the team groups will scavenge materials from throughout the school or from their homes or from the community. That is fine. We only have 1 required piece of equipment, and that's the KidWind generator from Veneer. That costs about $7, and we will provide those to you if you need them. So that shouldn't be an obstacle. We do reimburse mileage to and from each of the regional challenges, and we'll reimburse stipends for teacher substitutes. And then we provide lunch as well at all of our events. So I don't know, I mean, other than the cost of your time, which we do not reimburse, there's really not much of a cost. Now, there will be a cost, obviously, when you go to nationals, and we do try and help out with travel costs or supplies to going to nationals. What some of the teams will do is they'll fundraise locally, and they'll get their funds that way. So a typical day for the KidWind Challenge is that the teams will arrive between 8 and 9. We usually have registration starting at 8. We usually have the competition starting at 9 a.m. And then they rotate through those 4 areas of the competition. We will provide schedules for you prior to you attending, so that you will be well acquainted with what that schedule is. We will accommodate up to a certain point changes in the schedule if you realize that there are conflicts with sporting events or Scholars Bowl, or whatever. I mean, we recognize that sometimes those happen, so we will try and accommodate those. There will be a presentation by a KidWind Challenge sponsor while the scores are being tallied. It does take us a little while to make sure that we have all the scores correct. That's obviously very important for us, because sometimes the difference between one place and another is only 2 or 3 points. So we want to make sure that we get it right. And so we'll take that time, and then we have somebody speak to the students while they're there. Winners will be announced at approximately 3:30, depending on what the schedule is, so that we try and get everybody back on the road by at least 4. And then just recognize that based on the number of teams that actually are at each regional challenge, those times will shift one way or another. So just to give you an idea, this is the staging area. This is where all the magic happens. We have all these students, and they're with all their different turbines, and you can see the number of different designs that are brought to these. And there's just all kinds of chattering going on here. It's a lot of fun. And in between each of your competitive areas, this is where you return. So it's kind of like your homeroom. This is a practice wind tunnel. We do set one up so that they're using exactly the same thing. And this is usually in or around the staging area. And the students can come in and, use the practice wind tunnel, see if it works. It's exactly, like I said, it's exactly the same as the performance wind tunnel. The only thing that we ask in here is that if there's a team that's scheduled for the performance wind tunnel next, then they get first priority for the practice wind tunnel. We've never had any issues at the practice wind tunnel. No fights have broken out. So there have been some tears because their wind turbines all of a sudden weren't working after they've been working on them for 2 or 3 weeks, and they're like, ah! So we have some of that. This is performance wind tunnel, so you can see it's exactly the same. A little bit less people around. We do allow spectators in the performance wind tunnel area. So usually what we'll do is we'll block off a certain segment in front and behind the wind tunnel, just to make sure that nobody is altering the wind flow. But yeah, we do allow spectators in here, and you can see up in this picture, well, you can't see the graph, but we do project the energy performance output up onto the screen so that everybody in the spectator area can see how this particular wind turbine is doing. This is the judges panel. We do not allow teachers, coaches, or parents in the judges panel. So it's just going to be the judges who are asking the students question about their design and build process. They're trying to ascertain their knowledge of wind energy, wind turbine mechanics, so that we know it's a student project and not a teacher project or a parent project. And this is a knowledge quiz. What we will do during a competition is this is generally the part of the competition that gets through the quickest. So even if you're not scheduled to, so say this group finished at 9:30, you're not scheduled to take your quiz until 10. We may come by and ask your team if they're ready to go into the knowledge quiz. And that kind of helps us, kind of wrap up the competitions early, hopefully. Guys, anything that I need to say about the quiz? I mean, they you can see they can all work together, as long as they just put one answer down.
Yeah. And we do. Yeah. Sorry. I was
ahead.
just going to add that we do have a knowledge quiz study guide that's available. It's on a
Yes.
Google Slides, and so we pull the questions from that, and we've kind of made so Mandy is on our team. She's an education background, and the focus has been to make those kind of based more on concepts rather than just memorization. But that study guide is very helpful.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with Scholars Bowl, right? Because for Scholars Bowl, you have a list of questions. Yes, Abe.
Is that on the website that? Okay.
Yes, it's
Oh,
on
yeah.
it's on the Kansas Energy Program website, not the Nationals.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay.
I'll look for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's if you go to the KidWind section, there's like a resources section, and we are going to be updating it slightly, and those should be getting posted here pretty soon, but it'll be pretty much the same as last year. We're just adding a few things. So
Okay. And this is the instant challenge. So these are different years. So this year we did a MacGyver challenge where they had to just create a handheld. Didn't have to be handheld, but most of them did. Handheld windmill that would actually lift weights. This is a gear ratio instant challenge that they're trying to figure out, and this is a wind farm siting challenge that they had to figure out. So you're just going to get to the challenge. You won't know what the instant challenge is going to be. We'll tell the students, here you go. And then they can go to it. Now, the teachers and coaches are allowed to watch them do this, but they cannot provide any advice or assistance. These are the basic rules. You do require that this is the KidWind generator. We will provide these as needed. We do not have an open generator division, although Nationals does. So you may consider, if this is your first time, you may look at it and say, okay, well, for the Kansas KidWind Challenge, we're going to use the KidWind generator, but let's go ahead and build a turbine that maybe can do an open generator. So it's totally up to you. We don't care, but we're just not going to do, we don't have the logistical capacity to do a KidWind and an open generator. So we just choose not to. Each team must have its own turbine and its own base. You can't have any sharing of parts. Each team has to be totally autonomous. Each team does have to have a coach. We do not assume any student sitting duties during the KidWind challenges. You have to keep them, where they need to be. And then we do have the challenge resources. So just scroll down to KidWind resources for rules and logistics. The wind turbine the wind tunnel that we have is a 4x4 foot wind tunnel. So your turbine must fit inside that, and as this says, allow some room. Because if the blades are hitting the sides of the wind tunnel, we're going to have you take it out and say that you can't use that one. So just be aware of that. And the turbine has to be freestanding, meaning have its own tower. We do provide weights to hold the turbine in place. You cannot help your wind turbine get started by pushing the blades around. It has to start on its own. And then you are allowed to purchase parts for your wind turbine, but you can't use pre-made airfoils. You can create airfoils if you wish, but you can't buy them pre-made. And then just recognize that points are awarded in the judges panel for creativity and economical use of resources. and stay away from any unsafe blades. So don't use metal, plexiglass, or anything with sharp edges. We have seen very few turbines whose blades have not come off during the competition. And when they do come off, they're going to fly and they're going to hit the side of our wind tunnel. And it is not made of steel. It is just made of very thin plastic. So that sharp blade can come through and could even hit some of the students. So we certainly don't want that. We do measure the power output, and the energy sensors that we use are hooked up to a 30 ohm resistor to create that load. So if you test it without a load, you're going to get a much higher performance. And when you come to the challenge and you put that 30 ohm load on there, the students are going to say, well, what the heck? We did so much better at the school. So just make sure you test it with a 30 ohm resistor.
Excuse me.
And as you can, oops, sorry. So as you saw, oh, I thought somebody was saying something.
Well,
Yeah, we have a
I was
question.
I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah, no worries.
Do you guys have like a suggestion on what would be good just for starting with the wind turbine, as far as, like, I noticed they have a drivetrain, they have gears.
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming we would need all of that, right, along with the generator?
Yes, that is correct. So some students build that on their own, but we do have wind turbine kits that are available. And you guys can correct me on this. I think we generally provide a wind turbine kit per school, per team.
Probably per team, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
So we can ship those to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
that's a
guys would
base-
provide a starter kit, is what I'm hearing?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we just ask that once you're finished with it, if you're not going to use it anymore, to give us, well, kind of leftover parts, and then we'll recycle it for the future use. But if you're going to continue to use it, I mean, a lot of schools just hold on to those kits.
Just keep them. Yeah.
Yeah. I will put a link in the chat to the kits that we have, so you can see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And so those kits are about 120, I think.
$134.
Oh, 134. And we provide them to you free of charge. So like I said, we do try and reduce the financial obstacles for schools to participate in this. Now, I will say this also. Your chances of winning with a Vernier basic KidWind turbine kit are pretty slim, but it will give you the basic knowledge that you need to then improve upon that design.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of teams, I think, use, even if they don't end up using that same exact kit, they use parts of it.
Yes.
The gears or the drivetrain or something, they'll use that. Maybe they'll build their own base or something, but it's a great starting point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then our wind tunnel, you can see we have 4 box fans that are put together. So it creates about an 8 mile/hour wind. So if you're only testing with this one little floor fan, and your turbine stays together, recognize that it may not stay together when it's put into our wind tunnel. And then at nationals, they even have one that I think gets up to 12, 15, 20 miles/hour. I don't know. They call it the turbinator, because turbines fall apart. This is the wind tunnel that we use. This is the energy sensor that we use, and you can see right down here, there's a little switch that is the 30 ohm internal resistor. So we always have to make sure that that's on. This will connect to computers, tablets, and phones using this free graphical analysis program. And then it allows you to measure the energy output over time. And that's what we project up onto the screen. And then we also use an anemometer to measure the wind speed for the tunnel. We don't have to worry about this first one, but we had to put this in there for some of the earlier KidWin challenges that if we don't have at least 2 schools with 5 teams, we may cancel the event. But we do have to worry about the second bullet with the weather because we do these in February in Kansas. So we have had to occasionally reschedule, and that is a pain. We hope that we don't, but we're not going to put students in any danger. So we'll be in close contact with all the coaches in regard to that. I'm going to play this real quick, and Ryan and Kurt make sure that I think I have to reshare.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if it will. So make sure you tell
Yeah,
me. Is
we
it
can see
showing? Okay.
Yes.
So this is the Oxford Air Sharks. They were the national champions for a couple of years running. Once as a 4th through 8th grade team, and then once as a 9th through 12th. And you can see that these are, we did not take this video, so I apologize. It's going to flip back up after a while. But you can see these gears. Those are KidWind gears. So they did not create these on their own. The blades they did, and they are using a KidWind generator, and I think maybe a part of a tower. And they're gonna, you can see it's only a 2-minute video.
This is probably the most well-designed one we've seen in all the years we've done
So
it.
yeah, so these
So,
are
yeah.
KidWind gears. This is a KidWind, looks like a KidWind nacelle or a hub.
The hub, yeah.
This is a collegiate competition wind tunnel, though.
Yes, that is not our wind tunnel. That is the wind tunnel for DOE's National Renewable Energy Laboratory. They do collegiate wind competition, and so they were curious to see how this wind turbine would do in the collegiate wind tunnel. And you can see it does quite well. Oops. Guys, don't let me forget to turn my phone back on.
We promise.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and stop it there because it's really doesn't do much. But you can see, I mean, we've had very few since then that have this type of speed on their blades. It's pretty incredible. Okay, how do I get back to my presentation? Oh, how about that? Okay, so these are the 2023 Kansas champions in the 4th through 8th grade. So we had Allen Magnet School from Hutchinson. We had W Squared from the Oakley School District, and we had the Windy Sunflowers from Beloit Junior Senior High. And for those first timers, Allen Magnet School, Hutchinson Blue, this was the second time for them winning. And they started, I think, 2 weeks before their regional competition, the first time they did it. And then they went on to nationals and won nationals. So don't think that just because it's your first time that you can't be competitive at this challenge. Okay. These are the 9th through 12th. So Beloit, again, Beloit Junior Senior High, Bueller High School, and then Burlington High School. So we invited, I think, 6 teams to the 2023 National KidWin Challenge, and 2 of those teams, Allen Magnet School at Hutch and W Squared, took national championships. So, like I said, they know us very well on the national stage. We have this slide in here about registering as soon as possible. This is a very, there's a lot of interest in this event. And so here are all the registration details. And this is where we are currently. So Hutchinson and Manhattan are already full. Burlington and Dodge City each only have 2 spots left open. Colby has only 1 spot. The most sparsely populated regional challenge right now is in Overland Park. Now, if that's the only one that is most convenient for you from the ones that are still open, we do reimburse mileage to and from whatever regional challenge you can get to. So just keep that in mind. And then the state is, of course, going to be the top 2 in each age division from all of these regions. And Ryan, I haven't looked, Ryan or Kurt, do we have at least 2 teams in each age division at each regional?
I don't know.
Okay.
Kurt, have you looked at that?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
So if we have at least 2, then we will send 24 teams to state. That is the max that can go to the state. Okay. And then in addition to the KidWind, I'll just go through this pretty quickly. We do have a lending library with a number of different pieces of equipment. This is all free to K through 12 schools in Kansas. We will either bring this to you or we'll arrange for a convenient pickup, like if you have somebody that's coming out to Manhattan, or if you have somebody that's coming halfway to Manhattan, we'll meet you somewhere, or we'll ship it to you. So what we want to do is we want to get this equipment out to the schools that they can use. We have breakout rooms available that we've put together that have different clues. So we have 2 energy efficiency breakout rooms. We have 2 energy audit breakout rooms. And then here are the contacts for us. And you can see that there's only 4 of us, but feel free to give us a call or an email or whatever. If you haven't heard from us in a while, please do not think you're nagging us to send a reminder. Because sometimes we do get a little overwhelmed with things. So other than that, I'll leave it open for questions if anybody has any questions. Okay, hearing none. I'll just remind you again that we'll send out this recording link to everybody who registered for it, so you can have it there to rewatch. I mean, because this was probably the most entertainment you've had in a while. And so, just sit there with a bucket of popcorn and some soda and have fun with it.
David, I'll just throw out a reminder to sign up for the newsletter if you have not. That's where we send out updates on any resources or any other related updates to KidWind or any of our other programs.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you haven't, just let us know and we can do it for you.
Yeah. Okay. I will go ahead and stop sharing and end the meeting. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening and a great rest of the week.